What's up guys, Truman here, welcome back to another video. So it had to be rush hour, didn't it? Decided to make a video in my garden today with my co-star who seems to follow me around. For anonymity, I will not omit his name because I do not want him to be targeted. He is wanted by several people. You see, he actually lost his tail in a fight with ISIS. And if I tell him his name, he might have a few fatwas. Anyway, so I decided to vent. AKA rant a little about something that has really annoyed me, but in a way that I kind of find hard to describe, simply because not only of just the whole political climate, but just the way things have been going in general. It's gender discrimination. So we always hear about it from the news, about people talking about it as if it's like it's all like men are the root of all evil and women are being oppressed left, right and center. But as most people, most smart people, I would say no, that this really is an overblown phenomenon. Yes, we know that there is gender discrimination, yes, but we know that there are some women who are being really screwed over by it, but I honestly think that it's not as bad as people think. Now, I know that my opinion that I'm going to voice right now is probably going to be very marginal in terms of the examples that I'm going to give are going to seem really small, but the reason why I want to give them is because of the actual political climate that we live in. That might be too high. It's because of the actual political climate that we actually live in currently, because when we're being saturated with, at least I am anyway, the British people are anyway, every single time you turn on the news it's, oh, what's it like to be a woman in this job? What's it like to be a woman? What's it like to be a black woman? What's it like to be a black transgender like ex-woman working in this sort of a job? And all this sort of crap. You know, you sort of hear this stuff every single day, and no one ever talks about the sort of gender discrimination that sort of happens towards men. So I'm going to give a few examples of what I actually experienced at my workplace. So basically, I work in a retail job, retail high street, and there's a lot of things that I realized were happening to me and to other men that I was working with that no one ever talks about. And like I said, these examples are just sort of normal things, but it's in contrast to this extremely overblown feminist culture that we live in. The politically correct culture that we live in. I think I've been followed. For some reason, whenever I come outside, these two always start to. He's gonna follow him. You gonna follow him? Just gonna look up. Ooh, a stick. Why am I filming cats? Apparently, this gets views. Is this getting views, Sammy? Is this gonna get you views? No. Well, fuck off. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So basically, it's just in relationship to this climate. So I work in a retail job, and basically what I actually experience in a lot of my life is that at work is that I'm always tasked with all the heavy stuff to do. And like I said, this may seem like a really poor, really trivial example, but it's the way it was sort of just put on me, and the way it was sort of done almost like in a manipulative fashion. So first story, I used to work in a place in White City, which is it's a big store, central London, loads of people, blah blah blah. But the vast majority of the employers that were working there were women. Now, that's fine, I don't care. But the thing that I found is that there was one day where there was a line on the shelf where there was a few empty products, and as you know, if you work in retail, you can't have that stuff. And I found it weird. I just assumed that we were out of stock or some sort of an issue. And then what happened is that I went upstairs into the stockroom to check out what the hell was going on. What I found was that the item was actually still there, but it wasn't taken out. Why? Because it was underneath two boxes that were not hard to lift, but two boxes that you needed to require minimal physical effort to actually move. And I thought this was weird. I left them. So I left them for a week, and they weren't moved. Now, I'll tell you about the store. 99% women. I was the only guy, apart from the other guy who was an assistant manager, so he doesn't do all that other heavy lifting stuff, the grunt one. I left it for a week, and I came back, still a gap in the shelf, box was still there. So at the time, I thought to myself, let's leave it for another week. But then my manager, who was a woman by the way, came down and said to me, look, hey, can you move this? Can you please put this stuff on the shelf? And I had half a mind to tell her like why wasn't this done before. But the moment I started to pick up the box, she started to be like, ooh, look at him, oh, really strong man, oh, look at him, yeah, look at his muscles. Yeah. Obviously it was a joke, she wasn't doing that deliberately. I mean, she was doing it deliberately, but she wasn't doing that like, she didn't really mean it, but it was meant to be like a joke. And I realized that whenever I started to pick up like heavy stuff, she started to do that stuff whereby she would, not just her, but other women there would be just like pretend to like encourage me, pretend to be impressed and stuff like that. Not many, it wasn't like everything, because that would be creepy, but like one or two of them, mainly the manager and the assistant manager, because there were a couple of assistant managers, both women, would be like, oh yeah, look at him, yeah, he can do it, he can do it, he can do it. And it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And what I didn't realize back then was that they were basically manipulating me, because they didn't want to do it, not because it was hard, but because it was a guy's job. It was a guy's job to do it. And you can't admit that, you can't say it, you can't, you know, point it out. I just found it weird that, based on this current political climate that we're in, it's weird that I, as a guy who I'm a supervisor, I have to do all the stuff that the women do. But I'm also expected to do all the stuff plus the heavy shit. And it's like, why? It's not hard to do, anyone can do it, it's not very hard, it's just because they just naturally leave it for me to do. Now, this happened again later on, whereby I was always called to do the delivery shift all the time. I was always called in to do all the heavy stuff. And whenever I was on holiday and there was another woman doing it, she wouldn't come into work. She'd call in sick, she'd do this, that, and the other. She just didn't want to have to handle the physically hard labor. Now, if you turn on the radio, what do you hear? Oh, all women, men and women are equal. They're all equal. Oh, we just want equal treatment. Oh, man, men are such oppressors. Oh, man, you know, everything is really, really hard. But then, in the real world, it's the complete opposite. Men are expected to perform just as well, otherwise they'll lose their jobs, but also do more. I don't know what to do about this. Like, I literally have basically got myself into a position, because this is quite a while ago, whereby I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that anymore. I've moved up the ladder now, so I don't have to do that anymore. But I still see people, like we've had 2 women that have just refused to come into work because there was heavy labor to do. And it's not hard. It's not backbreaking. It isn't even really difficult. It just requires physical labor. But I've seen numerous women who've been called in to do the heavy lifting just flake out, just like, can't be bothered. Not doing it. And you know what the funny thing is that the management, what they will do is that they know this. They know that the women are going to do it. So what do? They just ask me, and they say, dude, you're the only one that can do it. And like, yeah, we kind of have 2 other female employees. Yeah, dude, you're the only one that can do it. It's like, yeah, but what? Like, what? That's kind of weird. Now, I'm not saying that women do not work hard. Obviously, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that we're in a culture right now that expects men to just give up and accept the fact that they're oppressors. I'm talking about the current British climate, at least in the cities anyway, whereby men have to accept that they are the ones who are the oppressors. Whereas also they have to do as much work, if not more, than women. And they also have to subconsciously carry on this lingering sense of chivalry, whereby men have to do the heavy lifting, and men have to hold the doors and all this other stuff, which I'm not honestly opposed to. The only problem with that is that there is meant to be an equal level of respect between the 2 genders, which we're not seeing. All it is that men are crap, men have to do all this stuff, and men have to work twice as hard. Oh, by the way, you're also an oppressive bastard who totally treats women like crap all the time. And it's like, it's ridiculous. And I see it multiple times whenever I come into work. It's like, you know, at least, let me be specific, around a few weeks, I just see this whereby it's like, oh my god, you know, it's a delivery day, there's no women in sight. No women come into work that day. No women. And, oh, you know, another guy who's meant to do the delivery has taken holiday. There's 4 women who could do it. Not one of them wants to do it. And I've gotten sick of it. Now, like I said, luckily I'm in a position whereby I can just say, yeah, I'm not working, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You're going to have to find someone else. You know? And what usually happens is a woman will come in and then she'll take the next 2 days off. And it's like, just admit it. That's my main point, is that just admit it. Men and women are not equal. I would not care about all this if not for the crazy political culture that emphasizes women over men in all situations. Women are just as strong as men. That stupid study that came out that said that women are actually just as physically strong as men. You have all these transgender, you know, people changing sexes and then going into the opposite boxing leagues or whatever, and then just beating the shit out of women because they're equal, right? All genders are equal. It's just a fluid thing. There's no difference. Men and women's brains are equal. Well, okay, so if men and women's muscles and brains are equal, why the hell am I dragging myself into work at 6 AM because Sally, whoever the hell her name is, called in with the sniffles? when she had to do the delivery day? Why is that? Why is it that I come into work and half the place isn't stacked because it required a minuscule amount of physical labor? Why am I being manipulated? People basically coming out and saying, oh yeah, well yeah, you can do it, yeah, you're the only one that can do it, yeah. What they're saying is, you're a guy, please for God's sake do it, because otherwise then the women will complain and they'll make an absolute uproar. And guess what? Guess who gets the hump for that? Man, yeah, I'm not saying that all women are hardworking. This is probably going to be a MGTOW video, to be honest. Is that just admit that we're not equal, and I'll be fine. Then I won't care. But as long as I get bombarded daily by this crappy propaganda that says that they're all equal, and I'm also expected to do not twice the amount of work, but you know, more work than average. I'm expected to perform just as well and do the heavy lifting and come in and do the strenuous days. Then hell, I'm never gonna stop talking about it. I'm never gonna stop pointing it out, and I'm never gonna stop just emphasizing just how crazy things have become. Anyway, this video has probably become long enough. I hope you enjoyed it. Freeman out, and peace. It's coming back again. I'm gonna give you a name. Actually, he has a name, but like I said, ties to ISIS. Other good one. Freeman out, and peace.